So we have looked at much with regards to the blessings and the curses. And this is going to be another chapter looking at that aspect. When Israel's in obedience, things will be good, but it needs to be genuine. And if it's not genuine or they're not in obedience, well, it's not going to go very well. Deuteronomy 30:1. And when all these things have come upon you, the blessings and the curses, which I have set before you, and you shall call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord your God has driven you. The introductory verse here is mentioning a time. So when the Israelites are in the land, and when they're being obedient, they're receiving the blessings of the Lord, and when they're being disobedient, they're receiving the curses of the Lord. This may not necessarily be the best way to tell whether they are in obedience or disobedience to the Lord, but it is certainly a test that will reveal. This is the proof is in the pudding concept, where if the things are good, they know they are being obedient, and when the things are bad, they know that they're in an unfortunate position, and they need to be able to realize these things to adjust their trajectory to be in a good and righteous place. They want to be following after the Lord, and they want to be receiving these blessings. The problem is that oftentimes when they're in disobedience, it's because they're not following the Lord. And because they're not following the Lord, they don't know what the Lord has said. They don't have his message in front of them to read and be like, didn't it say we'd be cursed if we did this? But if they never read it and they don't have it in front of them, how would they know what the Lord's desires are? And how would they correct their path? Deuteronomy 30:2. And shall return to the Lord your God, and obey his voice according to all that I command you today, you and your children, with all your mind and heart, and with all your being. So if the Israelites are in a bad position, and they start drifting away from the Lord, and maybe they realize that this was written down somewhere, and they pull out the scriptures, they read it, and they're like, this is what we got to do. And then they change their ways, and they return back to the Lord. The Lord's going to bless them again. He's going to take those curses away, and he is going to bless the Israelites. He wants them to be in obedience, and sometimes they need a little bit of correction to get there. But if they continue to follow the wrong path, as we saw in the list of curses, it just gets worse and worse and worse, to the point that the Lord expels them from the land, and it's very severe. So it's better to correct early on before letting it progress any further. Deuteronomy 30:3. Then the Lord your God will restore your fortunes and have compassion upon you, and will gather you again from all the nations where he has scattered you. 30:4. Even if any of your dispersed are in the uttermost part of the heavens, from there the Lord your God will gather you, and from there will he bring you. So the Lord isn't going to force them to do this. He's going to make it a better option, but he doesn't force anybody. This is something that they need to do. They need to turn from their wicked ways and come back to the Lord. And if they do, he's going to restore those blessings to them and bring them all back. Deuteronomy 30:5. And the Lord your God will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it, and he will do you good and multiply you above your fathers. When we saw that list of curses, near the bottom of the list, we saw that the Lord was going to punish the people so severely that he was going to kick them out of the promised land. So now we're seeing that the Lord is going to restore them, even from the harshest of curses. the Lord is still going to restore them, and he's going to bring them back. People from all around the world after the dispersion are going to come back to the promised land. And we see that he is going to bless them with the promises that he gave to their fathers. Deuteronomy 30:6. And the Lord your God will circumcise your hearts and the hearts of your descendants to love the Lord your God with all your mind and heart and with all your being, that you may live. Previously we have looked at circumcision, and it is the removal of the foreskin from the male genitalia. This was part of the covenant that the Lord made with Abraham way back when, and this was something to be done for future generations as well. And the men that were in the camp as well, wanted to be part of the camp, they needed to be circumcised as well. The circumcision is a physical thing, but it is symbolic as well. Often men sin due to the lust of their loins. So the circumcision is in that particular location. Not that that would necessarily stop that, but it is representative of it. The idea is to remove that type of iniquity. It also is something that separates the Israelites from the rest of the world. Something to make them different, unique, and special, and consecrated unto the Lord. So now we're looking at a different type of circumcision. Now this is the circumcision of the heart. A symbolic circumcision to signify one's commitment to the Lord God and being obedient to the Lord and seeking after the Lord. So the idea is to have the heart in the right place when it comes to having a relationship with the Lord. Deuteronomy 30:7. And the Lord your God will put all these curses upon your enemies and on those who hate you, who persecute you. So in the circumstance that the Israelites, they're disobedient to the Lord, and the Lord is cursing them and giving them a hard time, if they change their ways and they come back to the Lord and they follow the Lord, not only is he going to bless them and look after them, but he's going to curse their enemies. He's going to take those curses, flip them upside down, and drive those people out or punish them severely, whatever the case may be. Deuteronomy 30:8. And you shall return and obey the voice of the Lord, and do all his commandments, which I command you today. 30:9. And the Lord your God will make you abundantly prosperous in every work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, of your cattle, of your land, for good. For the Lord will again delight in prospering you, as he took delight in your fathers. The Lord doesn't gain pleasure from torturing his children, his people. He doesn't want to do that. But sometimes as a father, he needs to chastise them to get them in the right position. And sometimes the chastisement is a little bit harsh, a little bit severe. But when the people come back to him, he's ready to shower them with the blessings, the things that he desires to give them, that he is simply withholding because of their bad behavior. So they behave well, then they can have that. Deuteronomy 30:10. If you obey the voice of the Lord your God to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, and if you turn to the Lord your God with all your mind and heart and with all your being. It sounds simple and easy, but it will be very difficult for the Israelites to follow through with this, and they are going to struggle as the years go by. Some generations will be better than others, but for the most part, they're going to go through a hard time. Deuteronomy 30:11. For this commandment which I command you this day is not too difficult for you, nor is it far off. So it may seem impossible, but the Lord is not looking for them to follow the law to the T and get everything perfect. That's why we have these different offerings that are available. So when they fall short, that they can make offerings to kind of make up the difference between the intent and the reality. The Lord has the desire for his people to follow after him the best that they can do. We do see in the New Testament that the standards for getting into heaven are significantly higher, and they require perfection in its absolute form. And we have the absolute sacrifice to make that possible. But this is more about Israel's relationship to the Lord God and what God asks of them so that he can provide their blessings and look after them, and they could be used for his purposes down the road. Heart, soul, and mind, every fiber of the being must be in alignment. Deuteronomy 30:12. It is not a secret laid up in heaven that you should say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it to us, that we may hear and do it. 30:13. Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it to us, that we may hear and do it. So Moses has brought the people of Israel the law, and he has taught the people of Israel, and they need to teach each other throughout the generations to come, passing down this important information. Eventually we're going to have more prophets that are going to bring more information to the people of Israel. But for the most part, the message has already been delivered. They're not to be looking for the communications of the Lord in all these strange places, or to be ignorant at what Moses has already brought them. He's brought them the law. They are to follow the law, not look in the seas or in the heavens to try to find what it is. Deuteronomy 30:14. But the word is very near to you, in your mouth and in your mind and in your heart, so that you can do it. So the things that they need are not at an unattainable distance. Moses has brought them already. And of course, the word is going to be in the written form, but there's probably also other forms that it was kept in. Not everybody read at that point in time. So there would be an oral history. There'd be recitings of the law so that they would be able to learn and understand it and take those words and place them in the heart so that it would function as a guiding principle to lead them down the right path, so that they are obedient to the Lord's commandments and are following after him and what he desires. Deuteronomy 30:15. See, I have set before you this day life and good, and death and evil. So Moses has no ability to make the Israelites do one thing or another, but he has simply displayed their options. If they want to be obedient to the Lord, they're going to receive the good things. If they want to be disobedient, then they will receive the not so good things and the curses. Deuteronomy 30:16. If you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today, to love the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes, and his ordinances, then you shall live and multiply, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land into which you go to possess. 30:17. But if your mind and heart turn away, and you will not hear, but are drawn away to worship other gods and serve them. 30:18. I declare to you today that you shall surely perish, and you shall not live long in the land which you pass over the Jordan to enter and possess. 30:19. I call heaven and earth to witness this day against you that I have set before you life and death, the blessings and the curse. Therefore choose life, that you and your descendants may live. This sounds very similar to the idea of the watchman. Back in the olden days when they had cities, they would have a tower. Well, maybe they'd have multiple towers. And there'd be a man that sits in the top of this tower and just watches. And he would be watching inside the town or outside the town. Maybe if there's invaders coming, he could alert the people and then they could prepare themselves. Or if there was a fire in the town and the building was on fire, they could alert the people and they could put out the fire or evacuate, whatever the need may be. It was a multifunctional role. But the idea is that the watchman sees the danger, warns the people. Now from there, whether the people listen to what he warns them about or not, it's not on his hands anymore. His duty is done. His mission is completed. So that's what Moses is doing here. He has taught them the law, and he has warned them. He can't control what they are going to do. If they're obedient or if they're not obedient, he's told them what's going to happen either way, but his hands are clean from this. He has done his duty. Deuteronomy 30:20. And may love the Lord your God, obey his voice, and cling to him, for he is your life and the length of your days, that you may dwell in the land which the Lord swore to give to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses may not be able to make the people do anything, but he would prefer that they were to seek after the Lord, follow the Lord, be obedient to the Lord, because he wants to see the Israelites be very successful. He wants to see them be the best that they can be. He dropped the ball so he didn't get to go with them into the promised land. And I'm sure that was something that he regretted. And he doesn't want the Israelites to make the same kind of mistake.